Hello, this is Serrano Keith Baldi from the Texas Justice Review. And today we want to talk about a couple of judges we have here, Judge Michael Snipes and Ray Wheless. Michael Snipes is on the top and Ray Wheless is at the bottom. We have a lot of stuff going on to these judges. If in the real world of prosecuting judicial corruption, they would both be arrested. They would both be charged with abusing their office to seek a benefit for themselves and to deprive another person of a benefit is a criminal act in the judicial system. And they have done it. And I'm going to try to explain as much as I could in less legal terms what they did. And so we're going after the entire judicial system in Dallas County and exposing these judges one at a time. And hopefully the authorities will take a look and take action against these judges. So the first judge we're going to start off with Michael Snipes. So I had an issue with him, and I'm an investigative reporter. I usually cover cases, and when judges behave badly, people call me and I go into the courtroom and I cover the cases. But I happen to be a victim of one of his, and that's why I have to try to maintain some kind of stability in this case, because it's kind of a personal nature, kind of like Christ had to deal with these people personally, but he also had to write a gospel that was sensible and powerful, and to empower people for change and not be oppressed and not be burdened. So here's my first piece of evidence. This guy took a case in family court, and he presented this document, and his document specifically said that he said the 301 District Court of Dallas County. He's not the court. He's not the judge in 301. Let me explain a little what happens. So voters go to the polls, and voters and the county presents what space is available, just like the appellate court was available, and the Republicans just swept that and took it away. So voters seize these courts, like 301 court, and you present candidates, and the voters put those candidates in that courtroom. They put a presiding judge, and the presiding judge is the main judge, and that presiding judge is the one who chooses the associate judge. Just a little background. And so anyway, this guy, it was a family court case, but he showed up with this particular document, and you can freeze it back and take a look at it. And it's got a letterhead with the logos on it, so I'm alleging this is a fraudulent document. And here's why I'm going to say this is a fraudulent document by a judge. He's not a sitting judge. He's not a presiding judge. He's not an associate judge. So where is he and where did he come from? And so he presented this letterhead, and he says he's representing the one of 301, but the person actually representing 301 is a judge by the name of Mary Brown. So Mary Brown was elected to 301 by the voters. She has an associate judge if she's too busy with the cases, and the associate judge takes over the case from her if she has an overflow. So I'm going to show you who she is first. You got to pull up some documents. Okay. So this is Mary Brown. And I pulled this from her state bar license. And it basically says she's a family court judge. She was not supposed to have that seat in family court. She was actually a write-in candidate. So there's some issues with her as it is already. Anyway, Michael Snipes presented this letter, and he said he's going to be taking his family court case. And so he said he's the senior judge of the Criminal District Court number 7, sitting by assignment. And so I did some research to find out who actually is the County Criminal Court number 7, and it's actually this lady. She was put in there by voters, right, in the Criminal District number 7. So she's the only one there in Criminal District 7. Why is this document legitimate? And why is it not fraudulent? So he's identifying himself as a senior judge over, because she's presiding. There is nothing in the law, there's nothing in the court system that says there's a senior judge. It's probably a make-up position. When politicians want to help their friends and their buddies, they make up positions so that they can make some money. So I did some research, and I'm going to pull up behind me. This is the Civil District Court of Dallas County. All the judges are listed here. So you'll go down and you look on the gray side. That's the headings of what the judge listing. It will say Civil District, County Court of Law, County Criminal Court, County. And then if you click on that, it will tell you which judges are in those courts. So if I were to click on Criminal Court, and you go down here, it lists all the judges that is in the criminal court. If I were to click on Family, it will list all the judges that's in family court. This one here is 301. 301, if I click on it, it lists Mary Brown presiding. That's the thing that I just showed you. And her associate judge is C. Andrew Ten Eck, right? That's associate judge. So how did this guy, Michael Snipes, get into a family court judge when his bar association license says that he does criminal he does criminal law only? If you can see that, that's criminal law only. So it says criminal, government, administrative, litigation, commercial, military appeals, and criminal. That's what he does. He does no family. And I'm going to tell you why that is very important and why somebody should have been arrested in this case already. So, he sends out this letter, and I think this letter is a fraudulent document. This has to be a fraudulent document because he's not the judge in 301, and he's not the judge in District Court, Criminal District Court number 7. So they're trying to help him get a job, and I'll explain that to you in a second. So this is listed outside the courtroom. If you went to courtroom number 301 right now on the 3rd floor, you will see this letter listed there. This letter was listed there. Now, if you're going to county court, and let's go to district court, the criminal district, right? We know that the criminal district number 7, let's click on 7. There is nothing here that says senior. There's nothing that says Senior Judge Michael Snipes. All it has is this particular judge. Her name is very catchy, and I don't want to butcher it. It says she's the presiding judge. There is no Michael Snipes. There's no senior judge she has to answer to. There's nobody. And if you click on the others, there's no senior judge. They made up this position to give this guy, and it's going to shock you when I show you why they made up that position. So this is the senior judge appointed by Greg Abbott. And when he was appointed by Greg Abbott, he's now the administrative judge for all the courts. If there's something that's happening, he gets to take control of it, right? So he's the one that sends this letter out. And here's what this letter says. The state of Texas First Administrative Judicial Region, order of assignment by the presiding judge. Pursuant to section 74.056, remember that, Government Code, I assign Honorable Michael R. Snipes, Senior Judge of the Criminal District. So he's also identifying this guy as Senior of the Criminal District. But if you look on the website, there is no space for that. There is no space on this website that tells you above this presiding judge in Criminal District number 4 that she has a senior judge above her and they're sharing cases. There's nothing on the docket to pay him even for that. So when she was put in the position, her last name is Anyam. First name is Chika. She's there. She was put in by voters. So who put Michael Snipes, the guy that I showed you, he's a criminal court judge, over her or in family court? Ray Wheless. And you're going to be shocked when I tell you why they did it. And I hope I'm right. So I'm going to say that everything is alleged here. Allegedly, okay? So anyway, he used section code 74.56 to get this judge, Michael Snipes, into family court, okay? And then he says the assignment, he goes on to say, in addition, whenever this assigned judge is present in the county of the assignment of a hearing in the above cause, the judge is also assigned, empowered to hear at that time any other matter. It just gibberish. It doesn't make sense, right? And this assignment is for the cause and style as stated in the conditions of assignment from this day until penalty powers has expired or the undersigned judge will write himself off. It's just gibberish. But let's just go with the law that he used. So I have the law that he used right here. So the presiding judge, let's bring his face up, decided that he was going to help his buddy here get a spot. And look at how they're manipulating it. So I'm reading here from 74.56. This is the letter that is still posted today. This was put up on November. It was signed on February 22nd, but it was put up outside that courtroom on November 12th, right? And today is the 9th, December 9th. It's still up there, even though the case is done with, because they're trying to prove a point and they're kind of scared, right? So here is the 76 Governmental Code 74.56. Here's what it says. It says that the assignment of presiding judges, which means Ray Wade, this guy. Why do I have two pictures of this guy? Let's get rid of him. So here is the wall outside 301, and that's the letter still on there. A month later. Why would they do that? Why would they keep that letter up there a month later when every day the clerk changes? Every day she changes the wall, and yet they have this still up there on the docket. So here's a docket. Okay, that's the letter. I'm going to try to supersede it here. So here what it says. It says, the presiding judge of an administrative region may appoint a judge in the region to serve as acting presiding judge in the absence of the presiding judge. Who is the presiding judge in 301? It's Mary Brown. So if Mary Brown is the presiding judge in 301, Mary Brown has to be absent in order for Michael Snipes to get her cases. She was still in her position. She's still running 301. So she had to be absent for him to go into her courtroom and run a family court case. Just remember, that's point number one. And it says, by a presiding judge is subject to the requirement of section 74.55. The law that this guy used to put him on the case, the chief judge that we just saw, was Government Code 74.56. And it says that the 7.56 must relate to 7.55. And I'll read it again. By a presiding judge is subject to the requirements. So this guy had to fit the requirements of section 74.55. Let's go to that. Let's have some fun with this one. So here is 7.55. And it says, in order to be eligible, I'm going to pause the video and look at number 2. It says, in order to be eligible for the position to be assigned to any court by the appointing judge, the judge must have developed a substantial experience in the judge's area of specialty. So if 7.56 says you have to reflect 7.55, then 7.55 says this guy, if he's going into family court, must be specialized in family law. It's like if you're looking for a lawyer and you don't go to a landlord-tenant lawyer and hire them for a criminal case. You don't go get into a fight and you're being sued for harassment and then hire a judge that does probate. You have to be specialized in that law. An accident attorney cannot take a criminal case. So these government codes was to prevent him and people like him. If you only have experience in criminal, you can't be in family. But the judge still put him in family court. And wait till you hear why I figured that he did. In addition to that, the court system is set up like this. The court system is set up in such a way that if you want to file a complaint, there's a cover letter, and you have to fill out the cover letter. And the cover letter say, look, it's a family dispute. They put it into a system and they put it under the code of family. So it falls into the family judges. So the website that I just showed you, once they put it in this website right here, once they put it under family, it brings up all the family court judges. And they are automatically assigned. If you went to civil and said, I'm suing for fraud or something else, they put it into a system. And it goes to all the civil judges. But you can't pick a judge. Because I tried to say, look, I had a problem with Judge Huffman and Judge Maria Aceveras. I do not want them hiring on my case because they were helping this guy, Michael Snipes. And the clerk told me, listen, this is how it works. I take your name, I put what kind of case it is, and it pulls up the judge automatically. So you automatically get that judge, you automatically keep that judge. If you don't like that judge or want that judge and there's a conflict, you have to file a motion to recuse this judge once you get before the judge. So you cannot pick judges. So here is the Family Court Code for picking judges. It says, except as provided in 1.02, the following cases shall be docketed numerically in order of filing, and assigned in random order to 301, 302, 303, and so forth. This is the law. The case are randomly filed to the judges in family law. And the case was randomly filed to Mary Brown. So how did Michael Snipes get a criminal court guy get this case when it went through the process? It went through random. It went through Mary because most of the other people, she's got family experience. Most of the people did not want the case because of what the other side did. So here's what happened. Ray Wheless and Michael Snipes are allegedly friends. And we're going to get to this lady in a second because she's part of this whole deal. But Ray Wheless and Michael Snipes go back a long way. He was an alleged Rhino Republican, Ray Wheless. He was appointed by the governor. And he was attacked by Republicans for serving Democrats. And so what happened was Ray Wheless now is a lot for Democrats. The lady you just saw, she's a Democrat. Michael Snipes was now a Democrat. So as the assignment judge, he's giving Democrats a lot of work. But he's not helping Republicans yet. He was assigned by the Republican governor. For some reason, he's giving these guys jobs and the Democrats, and he's a Republican. So don't believe that the judges in Dallas County are all, against each other, Republicans and Democrats. There are like the appellate court, they were against each other and other places. But down in the district and the county, they're all friends. They're all friends that hangs out with each other. So they're not going to help you. They're going to help each other. So anyway, I exposed this guy, Michael Snipes. Why does this thing just keep going all over the place? I exposed him. If I can press this and go back. Here we go. So I exposed Michael Snipes. Maybe I can and I exposed Ray Wheless, right? So both of them are buddies. They've got a buddy system going on. So they're helping one another. So here's what I found out. That the reason that he pulls the family court case off the line, remember we said it has to go random, and gave it to Ray Wheless. He has to come up with the fact that this case did not have a family court judge, or the next in line was not available, and that's why he gave it to Michael Snipes, which is hard to prove because Mary Brown is still a judge, and she's still there, and so is her associate judge. She's got an associate judge. So why wasn't the case going to that? We found out that Michael Snipes was also involved in case fixing when he was in the prosecutor's office. Yes, he was fixing cases, and the newspaper reported it, that he was giving case to certain judges. So now he's involved in it here again. So this is what's happening in the judiciary. They're helping each other out. And nobody gets arrested there. If you did any kind of fraudulent paperwork, if you presented stuff like this on your company's letterhead saying that you were some kind of boss and you're authorizing $400,000 to yourself, you will go to jail. So my question is this document a fraudulent document? And if that's a fraudulent document, then the other document that I just showed you is also a fraudulent document, because they're saying that this guy is a senior judge when he's not a senior judge. Voters does not have a place to vote for him. Voters does not have a place to put him. And if he's assigned, he has to be assigned in criminal court under the judge that you saw as the presiding judge. He cannot be over her. She was elected by voters. He has to be under. So why would they call him a senior judge? It's a created position. If you ask me, it's a created position, and here's why it's created. If this is still in effect, this guy gets paid. If this is still in effect, he has to make 29 hours on cases in the courtroom in order to receive a salary of $114,000 and $550. So if in fact he has to make up the numbers, or make up what do you call it? The cops have to do a anyway, he has to make up 29 hours a week. He wasn't making up the 29 hours. I believe if this is still in effect, if this is how he's getting paid, and I have to yet verify this, if this is how he's getting paid, he went to Ray Wheless and his buddy and said, look, give me some cases because I have to make up my 29 hours, right? And he says, well, okay, grab a family court case. I'll grab the family court case for you off the line and I'll give it to you. All this is criminal. All this is abuse of power. All this, there's a penal code to put these guys in jail for abusing their positions and their power. But the problem that we're facing is, even though I find all of this out, and even though I can prove all of this, and even though I showed you all this, I reported him to the prosecutor's office, to the district attorney's office in Dallas. The district attorney's office in Dallas told me, well, he once worked for this office, so it would be a conflict of interest for us to prosecute him. So they're sitting on the case. They've been sitting on this. And this was criminal charges also filed against Ray Wheless, right? And they also have something where they did not want to prosecute him. So here's the reason why. Because when you're charged with a crime, and the crime goes to the prosecutor's office, the prosecutors go to where? The judges, and say, prosecute this guy, we're going to, try him. And so if the judges are corrupted, and if the judges are involved in criminal activity, violating the oath of office, there's a conflict. Can you arrest the judge that committed a crime? Now, Michael Snipes, there was a person that took a case to him, and she had hard evidence that Judge Melissa Bellin falsified a transcript to beat her in a case against Melissa. And he looked at it, and just remember, this is the same political party, same Democratic Party. And Melissa, and he said he's not going to do it. He's not going to prosecute her. There is no case. And she said, I have the transcript that she fixed and she manipulated. And he did not want, she's the minority. I have a strong feeling that played a part in it. But anyway, I faced up with this guy, and he threatened to arrest me and put me in jail if I tell the public what he did. If I tell a jury what he did, he was going to put me in prison. That's what he said. So he stepped into my case. And boy, did he do a malicious and vindictive hatchet job. And sometimes I don't talk about my personal life. But I had to say, as a Christian, Jesus did a lot of talking about his personal life and showing his personal life, how they call him a criminal, they call him a blasphemer, they call him a liar, they call him a disruptor. They had a lot of bad names for Jesus Christ, but he kept on going because he wasn't after the people. He was after the regime. He was after the system. This is a system that is corrupted. And these are my first two judges. Well, him more than the other guy. So he did a really, malicious thing. Just because he's biased, just because he's prejudiced, no law was implemented. In family court, law has to be 50-50. So he gets up and he says, the wife can have sex with whoever she wants to have sex with if she's married. There's nothing you can do about it. It's Texas law. And I was like, okay, well, how about the 50-50 Texas law? Did you ever figure about on working that in? He didn't. She got 100%. And, that's what makes it so horrible about this guy. Here's the letter where he rejected the woman's, I'm not going to show that, her name. And here is, that's Ray Wheless. So he said Ray Wheless appointed him to this case, right? Not the voters in 301. His buddy, Ray Wheless. And not the automatic assignment, where it says it has to be a random judge. He's not a random judge. It was pulled from the line and give it to him, which is illegal. The system was set up for justice so that we won't have this kind of stuff happen, and it's happening. That's why the laws and the rules were created, so they won't break it and violate it. And what's the consequences? He applied to work in the Department of Justice. And look at the signatures this guy have. These are all Congress people, about 11 of them. They all signed up for him to be in the Department of Justice when Obama was there. He swore he's a great Democrat, and they said no. Something about him, they said no. And here it is, where it talks about where he was fixing the cases. See Michael Snipes there? This is the story that he was fixing cases. Is Johnson, who was a former prosecutor for Dallas County, said, Johnson says, Judge Davis shared with her the claims that her first assistant DA, Michael Snipes, admitted to two judges to steering cases to Birmingham. This is not the first time case steering has been in him. And they just get away with the stuff. The one that you saw in the blue, she was reprimanded by the state for helping a judge. And what this guy did, Ray Wheless, let's bring him back on. This guy, so Ray Wheless and Michael Snipes were charged with criminal acts. And they got on her and a motion to recuse both of them. So they tapped into her. Her name is Kim Cooks. She just ran for the 11th place in the appellate court and she lost. And so they tapped into her and said, hey, this guy has a recusal for me and he has a recusal for Michael Snipes. And since I'm your boss, because he's her boss, and the recusal was against him, since I assign you judges, I'm going to put you on the recusal. You're going to get me off and you get Michael Snipes off and put him back on the family court case. So they want to save face. So where is the arrest warrant for these guys? Where is the criminal charges for these guys when they're breaking the law and the rules? So one of the criminal parts of the criminal cases that I filed against these guys is penal codes. There's official misconduct. There is the abuse of office, which is penal code 39.02. There's official oppression, which is what they were engaged in penal code 39.03. And there was misuse of office, which is 39 penal code .04. Complaints were filed against them, and they are still there doing the same thing that they were complained about. So this is what's happening in the Dallas courts. The Republicans swept off the entire appellate court, stating that the Democrats are putting more criminals back on the street by just sending them back on the street, and that's why crime keep repeating itself. But no, the appellate court does not deal with that kind of stuff. That's mostly business stuff, high-end stuff. So if you really want to worry about crime, these are the guys you have to go after. Her, she was put on by her boss, according to the clerk, to get him off the recusal and put back his buddy Michael Snipes on the case, because he's got to make his 29 hours to get $114,000. That's the whole premise here. And you couldn't get rid of this guy. There was 3 recusals over and over again, just to make sure that he was get off the case, and he refuses. And I keep asking myself, why is he stubborn? Why is he refusing to get off the case? And the answer, finally, somebody sent me the payoff. He needs the hours. He needs the time. He is not the senior judge of the Criminal District Court number 7. Look at his paycheck. His paycheck is supposed to say that, right? Let's look at his paycheck and see if it says so. Voters gave it to the other judge because she ran for that seat and she worked hard and got the seat. But I think maybe he was there before, and then he got voted out of office and he was no longer there. So they're still trying to use, maybe that's why they're still trying to use number 7, because he was once there. But once there doesn't mean you're still there. If a councilman is voted out of office, you can't go back and identify yourself as a councilman. So if he's no longer in district, I want to put it this way. This is the lady. She's the one in the district. She's the one in criminal district number 7. Voters put her there, but they said he was there at one time and they voted him out. Right? He's no longer there. So you cannot come back and doctor up a letterhead like this, if this is true, to allegedly fraudulently create a document. And why aren't you arrested? Why isn't somebody invested? And then your buddy, he says the same thing. He's a senior judge. He mandated this. And tell me, why is it there is no authority going after these judges? Because the one Kim Cook that you see there in blue, she was reprimanded by the state. And when I showed you that thing, what that says Michael Snipes has to be qualified as specialized in that field of law. One click down from that, it has that if you have been reprimanded by the state, you're not allowed to be an associate judge. So how is Kim Cook, the lady in blue there, an associate judge, sitting in and putting them back in power after there was recusals filed against them? So it says that if you have been reprimanded by the state, you cannot be an associate judge. But yet, that gentleman that was with Abbott made her an associate judge and then used her to get himself back on the case and get him right here. He got himself back on the case and he got Michael Snipes back on the case. That's what's happening in the judiciary. If you did your job, if you doctored documents, and if you try to say you are a certain person for a certain money or position somewhere else, and they find out you lied on your application, that you weren't really the boss there or the executive or the CEO there. If you went to a bank and said, and this happened in Patterson, New Jersey, there was a councilman who had a restaurant, and he doctored up his documents and asked members of the council, the committee, there's a committee that gives out money to businesses, to give him a loan of $140,000. Even though his documents was fraudulent, it was false, the money, the reporting was off, it wasn't making that kind of money, he still got the $44,000. Why did he want it? Because he wanted to bait a bank to get $1 million loan to fix his business. This is the trickery that happens. I learned all of this. I know all of this as a publisher for almost 2 decades. He's trying to bait the system to give him jobs in family court. But the problem is, he said he was criminal court. He's identified. This is another problem they're going to face. And trust me, they are going to face this problem because they went after the wrong person. He's admitting, I am criminal court. Which he's not. I don't know. Again, this is alleged fraudulent documents, and his boss fraudulently stated he should be there. But to make allegedly the money he needs to make and come up with the quota, I got to meet a 29-hour quota. So, it's troubling. It's troubling that I can find out these things, that all the news medias in Dallas are silent. Do you know why they're silent? Because they're looking for their bottom line. It's the same thing I faced in New Jersey when I had a newspaper. All the medias was silent because they didn't want to rock the boat. Matter of fact, they were supporting the judges. When I expose the judges, they would say, oh, the judges this, and he's just attacking the judges. No, I'm exposing the judges, and your behind should have been behind me, backing me up on the fraudulent activities. This is all law. This is all government codes that tells you what to do and what not to do. If he's admitting he's criminal court, then you want to be in family court, it says no, you can't, because you have to be specialized in that rule of law. And it also says you cannot pull cases from the random line and give it to judges. He was involved in this in the prosecutor's office when Faith Johnson, the Republican, was there. I think I said enough. So this is just the first judge that we're going after. And I just dumped Ray Wheless in here, but he's going to come up a lot because it was his responsibility to make sure that this nonsense doesn't happen. He should have said, look, I know I want to give you hours to meet your protocol, your quota, but I can't grab a case from an automatic line and then lie and say that the judge is not there, the presiding judge is not available, because she also has an associate judge that will be available. So if she can't take this case, this family court case, she's got to give it to her associate judge. And she has to first recuse herself before I can give you the case. That's the protocol. There is no recusal. I went to look at the docket today. There is no recusal for Mary Brown in 301 Family Court where she said she was busy and she couldn't take the case, or she was sick, or she was going to leave. There was no recusal from her associate, I think his name is Atkins, that he was busy and he couldn't take the case. So here's the protocol. You go and you want to file, let's just say I want to file a complaint. You know, somebody did something to me, right? And I'm filing this complaint. And what happens to the clerk is, this is what the clerk does. The clerk takes the complaint. And I said to the clerk, I said, look, can I not get Judge Huffman or Judge Maria Aceveras? And the clerk says, sir, I can't give you a judge and I can't take away a judge. The system is really automatic, because if I put your name in here and I put family, it goes to one of the 14 family, by the way, there's 14 family court judges. If I put your name in there and I put civil, it goes to one of the civil court judges. I don't get to pick who you get or who you don't get. If you have a problem with a judge, you go to that judge and then you ask that judge to recuse themselves based on your objection and if you had a conflict with them. So that's how the system works. It is random, like the law says it should be. So why is the judge did not have a recusal on herself that she wasn't going to be there? She was going to be absent because the law says she can't. She had to be absent. She wasn't absent. She was there, and if she was there, she had to recuse herself and say, "I file a recusal against this because I can't take this case because I'm too busy, because I'm going on vacation, whatever the case may be." And then Ray Wheless will say, "Well, how about your associate judge?" Yeah, you can give it to him. Or if he said, my associate judge is going with me. He says, well, you know what? Since I don't have any judge in family court, maybe I can put him on the case, but I still got to find somebody with family court experience. It is not fair to either one of the litigants when you have a judge that is has no experience in family law, and he's sitting there, and this is the family court case. It's not fair to them that this is not a family court judge sitting on that case when we had one, Mary Brown and her associate. So this is how they're fixing cases. This is how they're helping each other. And I found this out, and I'm exposing it, and they threatened to put me in jail. That guy, Michael Snipes, 8 times. I would put you in jail. I would have the constable hold you and have you arrested if you tell them, if I tell them what he did. Because he had done some criminal activity that I called him corrupt. He said I called him corrupt. I must have written something online that the other attorney keeps sending him stuff online when she was told not to do so. Even that, he was supposed to tell her, I don't want to hear anything about this case other than what's this case. But he keeps taking that because he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a white Southern judge who's facing off a minority, and you've got a white person. I don't think this is not relevant. You got a white spouse, a white lawyer, a white Southern judge, and then you got a minority with no legal representation. When the money that he was doling out to the spouse was supposed to be shared equally, 50-50. If she's using money for an attorney, he's got to use money for an attorney too. But he decided he wasn't going to do that. He was just going to punish, teach a lesson. And I was like, okay, bring on your breast fat. There's more. He's just the tip of the iceberg. There's other judges that started this nonsense, and there's other judges that finished it. So when you hear my videos, I'm going after these judges, one corruption, one judge at a time. I had to add Ray Wheless in this because he played a major role in unlawfully pulling cases off the line in violation of that family code that I read to you. In violation of the family code that I read to you. Because you cannot pull cases off the line. You have to let it run through the next available judge. And they didn't do that. They didn't do that because they wanted to have Michael Snipes. That's what's going on. And if the Republicans want to do something, this is the place to do it. This is the time to do it. Because there's 8 judges I have in tow. 8 judges that I caught breaking the law, breaking the protocol to help each other. So the next time we speak, the next judge in line is going to be Judge Rachel Craig. Then after that, you're going to hear Judge Hoffman, Martin Hoffman. And then you're going to hear about Judge Maria Aceveras. And you're going to see how they're all connected through a political party to aid and help one another and deprive others of their rights. Then we're going to go back to Kim Brown. Then we're going to go back to our associate judge, Leona Bernard. Leona Bernard is illegal in that position. Kim Cook was illegal in that position when she got the administrative judge because she had to be voided by the state. And Michael Snipes was illegally put in that position. 3 illegal judges. And all the other judges came running around them to cover up for them and to help them. I'm going to explain what that happens as we go along the road of bringing these judges to justice. Bringing these judges to justice. This is Serrano from Texas Justice Review. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Today is December 9th, 2024.